From lorikeets and rosellas to the magpie and the currawong, the backyards of suburban Sydney are home to a wide variety of native bird life. But many of these species are feeling the pressure of an aggressive and highly intelligent competitor. The Indian, or common myna, was introduced to Melbourne from southern Asia in the 1860s for reasons unknown. From there it spread, and by the late 1880s, the Indian myna could commonly be found on the streets of Sydney.
They're just everywhere, And of course,
Jeff Wynne, a finance business analyst from Windsor in Sydney's northwest, became all too familiar with the birds when they began nesting in his backyard.
with the high fences and the stupid palm trees over the back, I was just getting all these birds coming around. My daughter was sitting here one day, she was sick and home from school, and she was going, "Oh, these birds are nesting in the thing, Dad." So, sure enough, I got up and I just cleared out probably half a chaff bag full of crap that they'd been putting in to make nests.
Deciding enough was enough, Jeff travelled to Canberra to pick up an Indian myna trap. Since then, Jeff's captured and euthanised hundreds of Indian mynas and has built more than a dozen traps.
Because they're a smart little bird, the Indian Mynas, they work them out pretty quickly. The trap only has to be down for half an hour, and you'll have, in a new area, and you'll have birds.
The traps are designed to take advantage of the bird's unique group foraging behaviour. Once the first myna is caught, its calls will draw other birds into the trap.
But the best is dry dog food, and it doesn't seem to matter what brand, they're not too fussy. I've tried everything, no name, Coles, all the stuff. In fact, I got an email from a guy last night who, I can't think, he was out at Box Hill, he's caught, how many birds, 80-something birds in about 8 days, 7 days. But he put on his dog food, he put red wine and sugar. So whether that's a tip, I don't know. I think there were probably that many birds there, you were always going to be successful.
As Community Bush Care Officer for the Hawkesbury City Council, Martin Gauci knows firsthand the effect the myna can have on native species.
The main animals that are impacted by Indian mynas are what's known as the arboreal animals. So any native animal that requires nesting in hollows. They'll what's known as foul those nests. So with their mites, and they'll put litter in it like plastic and so on. So those other animals can't use those hollows.
These animals, which include possums and gliders as well as birds, play vital roles in the ecosystems of the Hawkesbury region.
To have a healthy bushland ecosystem, you really need to look after the native animals too, because they're your seed dispersers and your plant pollinators, and Indian mynas really have an impact on, the native vegetation.
Another man who knows his mynas is Dr. Walter Bowles, ornithologist at the Australian Museum. There he has access to a vast collection of Indian myna specimens, many of them dating back more than 100 years.
For instance, that's actually from India, from 1879. So we've got... The Indian myna was the first bird I saw at Sydney Airport when I arrived back in the 1970s. So yes, I've been aware of it all that time, but it has certainly become much more prevalent. They're an aggressive invader species, but on the other hand, with a little introspection, they are very successful because they're very resourceful animals and they're quite intelligent. They are able to adapt to new situations very quickly, so that not only new sort of habitats, but also new food sources. They're opportunistic, they're happy to go out and explore and to see what works and what doesn't work. So they're not really constrained by being very specialized in feeding only on one particular thing or in one particular situation.
A 2008 survey by the ABC rated the Indian myna as Australia's most hated pest, ahead of the fox, the feral cat, even nudging out that infamous amphibian, the cane toad. In 2000, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature rated the myna one of the 100 worst invasive species in the world. Their shared dislike of the bird led Jeff and Martin to found HIMAG, the Hawkesbury Indian Myna Action Group, in August last year. Once word got out, the response from the community came loud and fast.
And we put about 3 advertisements in the local paper, and over a period of just 1 month, it jumped from 40 people being interested in the Indian mynas to I think around about 200. So it jumped from 160 calls, which was quite fantastic.
Helped by further publicity in council and community newsletters, High Mag's now received more than 400 inquiries into the program.
I guess a lot of them are saying enough's enough. We've had a gutful and we want to do something about it.
A network of volunteers like Jeff helps educate interested residents with local workshops, while council performs a coordinating role. And Hawkesbury Council's hardly going it alone, with other Sydney councils like Blacktown, Lane Cove, North Sydney and Sutherland running their own Indian Myna control programs. But given the size of the problem, is it possible that Sydney might one day be rid of the Indian Myna?
If you're in somewhere isolated, like say Western Australia, you might be able to protect it, but I don't think we can now.
It's not a question of getting rid of them entirely, that'll never happen. It's a question of just, not eliminating, but just reducing their numbers down so the natives have got a bit of a chance.
The more people we have out there in the greater community trapping, the more likely is we're going to bring their numbers down.
Like it or lump it, for the time being at least, it seems the Indian Myna is here to stay. Joel Hager, UTS News.